What is up, y'all? Damage Per Second Podcast. That's DPS Podcast, episode 242. And best believe we would never spit on you if we had the opportunity. And instead, we'll give you, dap you up. We'll give you a hug, because that's how we go over at DPS. I mean, we aren't like common pieces of trash like certain Eagles players out here. We would never. I am your co-host, SloMoBackSlap, with the other co-host of the podcast, Gaming Forte. What's up, Forte? How you been, man?
What's up, man? Yeah, you're right. You know, spitting on people is a bad thing, and we will never, ever do that. Ever. Even if you pissed us off, I wouldn't spit on you.
People, I thought champions were better than that, but I guess not.
Oh, man.
I guess not.
Let's talk about sore winners.
Sore winners, as well as their fans who act like they ain't never been nowhere and never won nothing a day in their life. But anywho, tonight's not going to be a very long show. Unfortunately, I do have to take care of things for work super early in the morning tomorrow morning, so we're going to try to get through the topics as quickly as possible, but it's the quality of the show will remain intact no matter
will
how
not be diminished.
Not even a little bit,
not even a little
definitely
bit.
Not diminished like the Eagles defense is right now.
So anyway, man, I got them, and the funny thing is I got them as my defense playing today, so I'm mad as heck. I was thinking the Eagle defense go actually play good today against. I don't believe in Dallas, but yeah, it looked like
I'm gonna tell you what I do in fantasy football, and I've always done this and always got the maximum out of defenses in all my leagues.
Mm-hmm.
I look at which team has the worst offense. And then I go see who they playing that week. And that's who I choose.
And that's who you choose.
Off to the waiver wire. I don't even care how bad your defense is. You're gonna look a little bit better this week because you playing for example.
So you're always
this week
rotating.
I have Arizona.
So you're always rotating
my
out
defense.
Your defense. Oh man, that's actually, I never thought about that. Just take whatever defense is available, pick whatever team they got has got the worst offense.
Yep, and in one of my leagues, the Yahoo League I'm in with work, with my co-workers, defense scores a lot of points. So it really, really works out for me. This week I have Arizona because Arizona's playing the New Orleans Saints, who I could probably play quarterback for better than their current quarterback. So, it is what it is.
Spencer
anyway.
Rattler didn't play good when he was in college. What do you think he's going to do in the NFL?
Right, and then they drafted a rookie, I say in quotation marks, that's like 35 years old and got worse knees than me. Anyway.
Oh man,
Forte,
what's up?
What you been up to, man?
Man, just work. I installed. Well, I put it like this. I attempted to install Hollow Knight Silk Song, and then everything crashed. All the services were down. I was at work today.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty bad. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was on Steam. I was trying to, because I was at work, and I had my laptop with me, and then I was like, the game didn't go live until I believe 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern. So I was like, okay, it was around 11 o'clock. I tried to log in to Steam around like 10:40, and bro, could not get on Steam. Couldn't. It would not let me on. I was like, why is it? I said, is my network something wrong with our network or something? And I'm like, no, I'm going to other websites. I even logged into Epic's website. I was like, okay, I can actually get on Epic, the Epic store, but I can't get on Steam, bro. Then I saw I got busy for a second. It was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I finally was able to get on Steam and see the game. But then I had looked at my phone and was on Twitter, and then I just saw a whole bunch of notifications of people saying all services were down, Xbox Live went down, Steam went down, PSN went down because of so many people was trying to download Silk Song, bro.
Silk Song. They got Silk
Song. They got the $20 Silk, the $20 bug that broke everybody's server. So I was able to finally get it installed on my Switch. I didn't have a hard time getting on Switch, because not too many people are, bogging down the Switch servers and stuff. So I was able to get it download
Right.
over there. And I haven't went on Steam and bought it yet because I'm still going to buy it on Steam. But yeah, definitely going to be diving into that game at some point this weekend because I've been looking forward to it for a great, great long time. But no, outside of that, man, just been working, jumping in games. I'm almost done with Donkey Kong. I think I'm on the last chapter of it because my wife was saying, yeah, she won't tell me how far from the end I am, but she said, yeah, you're pretty close. And I'm really, really enjoying that game. And just looking at a bunch. I had my drafts and stuff this week that I was in. I did like 3 drafts this week.
I did too.
It's like so many drafts this week.
I'm in 3 leagues. I had my last draft last night.
Yep, I had my last one last night. The one that I did at IOP that I do with Cognito every year. That I had to call him on the phone towards the end of the draft because he took a quarterback that I wanted, like my backup quarterback. I was like, you. So I called him on the phone, like, bro, you took my quarterback. And he was like, yeah, man, you took a bunch of people that I want. I don't want to hear it. I was like, okay. So I told him what we should do next year. And I think we should try to figure it out to all do it together. I said, we all need to be in a Discord together and do our lead, like get in the lead together and all say, hey, next year, we're all going to meet in the Discord and we're all going to do this draft at the same time.
Oh, yeah,
Discord.
we need to do the live draft. Yahoo, when Yahoo does that draft, they actually have like an interface that kind of like, it's not like the NFL draft, but it's very close, and it kind of like jazzes the whole thing up. We didn't do it last night, but I've seen it and I'm like, you know what, that actually seems pretty dope.
Looks pretty cool.
I'm down for that.
We definitely got to set that up for next year. But yeah, outside of that, that's pretty much it, man. Just working and doing stuff like that. I got my daughter has a parade that I'm doing, so I may leave IOP early because her parade is at a certain time. They still haven't sent us the details for it on Sunday, but so it really just depends on that. I find out tomorrow, but yeah, she has a parade that she's marching in Sunday that I'm going to, and yeah, man, just super excited. Like I've been looking at a bunch of different games and stuff, like trying to figure out what the next game's going to be until like Battlefield and stuff comes out outside of Silksong. And Borderlands, I keep forgetting, bro. People keep coming in the store to pre-order Borderlands. I was like, dog, Borderlands is out next week.
Bro, I pre-ordered Borderlands over a month ago.
Bro, that game, dog, it's gonna be so crazy.
I'm going to discuss that because my whole plan, the road to Borderlands, just completely
fell apart.
It's all my fault. It's all my fault. It's no one else's fault but my own. And because I did not like make it a priority to stick to a schedule to make sure I went through it. Now, I'll just say real quick, I did beat Borderlands 1 Game of the Year edition. I beat it yesterday. I beat it off stream because I wasn't playing the game because I was like, I'm supposed to be streaming this. Right. But like at the time, I couldn't stream because I'm dealing with stuff at work. And like I needed to be able to just pause the game. And, I don't stream when it's like, who wants to be, watching the stream and then I'll be right back. And like 10 minutes later, I come back after doing something for work. Like that's just not entertaining. So I don't stream when work is busy, and work has been extremely busy for me. Over the past, like really all this summer. And that's been problematic, but I'm going to start the pre-sequel. I'm just going to have to beeline my way through these games without actually like doing all the min-maxing and doing like real full-fledged builds and everything like I normally do. It's just going to have to be that way. And I'll do a lot of streaming this weekend because I want to get to the pre-sequel, get the Borderlands 2. If I can get through 2 and 3, and 3 is going to be a struggle because that story, good grief. But get to 2 and 3, and then I'll be ready for Borderlands 4. But it's going to be a bit of a grind, but we'll get there. I did play this game that I mentioned on the show like last spring because I played the demo of it. It's called Metal Eden. That got delayed to later this year to I'm actually confusing that with Morbid Metal. Metal Eden didn't get delayed. At least I don't think it would, but it did just come out this week. And I picked it up, and Metal Eden's pretty dope. It's really good. It's got like really fast paced gameplay. There's no ADSing. It's like old school first person shooting. The enemies, the bosses, are not to be trifled with. Like a couple shots and you're dead, kind of thing. But it's really, really good. And I played a good 3 or 4 hours of it. I don't know how long it is, but the story is kind of ho hum. But it's I'm enjoying it so far. It's got really, really good gunplay, and I've been playing it with my controller that I finally got. That GameSir G7 Pro, the Shadow Ember edition, finally came in.
Okay.
The box was not beat to hell like I thought it would be, considering everything that was going on. Actually, was in perfect condition. I did the testing on it. So real quick, for the testing result, it's the best controller I've ever had. It's the best controller that there is. And the Shadow Ember version is no different as far as like actual specs wise and hardware wise than the white version that is readily available that you could get right now. It's got 1 millisecond latency. It's got a 0% error rate on the thumbsticks. So that's fantastic. Oh man, what else here? I did so I mentioned before there's some controllers that have this thing where like everyone talks about polling rate and everyone talks about like, like there's a lot of marketing on it, and I don't think a lot of people know why it's important.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of false advertising on polling rate. And for example, 8-Bit Do, who I think is very good, they make very good controllers, definitely better than Sony and Microsoft. 8-Bit Do had their best controller is the Ultimate 2. And they marketed that as 1,000 hertz polling rate. And when I did the testing of the 8-Bit Do, it is not 1,000 hertz. Now, if it's just like, say, 996, I mean, it's freaking up. It's enough, right? That's and because all the ones I've tested that have been considered 1,000 hertz for the most part have been like 998. Like the G7 Pro I've been talking about is 998 hertz polling. But this 8-Bit Do Ultimate 2 was like in the 800s. And I'm just like, nah, fam, you can't claim to be 1,000 hertz polling and you over 100 below that.
You're
like
right.
the Xbox controller is only 125 hertz. The PlayStation DualSense is only 250 hertz. When you almost an entire like Xbox controller distance from what you marketed to what it actually is, that's not good enough. So like I do my own testing, and as you know, I'm going to start doing videos on it. I just kind of want to make a format for controller reviews that's different than what everyone else has, because there's two camps of controller reviewers. They're the people who just basically don't have any kind of technical info. They just stare at the camera and pretend like they know what they're talking about and just spout off like the specifications of the controller from the spec sheet, and then just hold it in their hand with the camera showing their hand. You say it feels good. Feels great. Like that. That's not a real review. They don't know what the heck they're talking about. And then they got the other ones that are much more technical that I enjoy, where they get into but they get into the weeds. They get into like the real details of it, and they really test it out. And I'm going to do a lot of that, but I also kind of want to do something that's a little bit different that no one else is doing, so that like no one is. I just kind of want them to be different than everyone else's, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
So the back to the G7 Pro. It's great. I've been playing it like with everything now. I played it with Call of Duty, fantastic. Played it with Fortnite, with Metal Eaton. The gameplay you're seeing now is with me using the 8-bit do, and just no issues whatsoever. It's got great buttons, great sticks. Everything's awesome with it. My only concerns, and it's not really for me because I play on PC. I play wired, and if you're looking for this controller on Xbox, it does work on Xbox. It doesn't work on PlayStation. It doesn't work on the Nintendo Switch. But on Xbox, it's only wired. It's not wireless. There is a wireless version coming, but it's like the Wushang Fallen Feathers edition version that's going to be wireless. That comes out next month. It's like $100. This controller is only $80, and so like it's like less than what Microsoft charges for an Elite 2, and the Elite 2 is straight up garbage in 2025. But the only thing. So this is dope. Most controllers are their fastest, and like for example, the Razer Wolverine 3 I have, it's only 1,000 hertz polling when it's wired. When it's not wired, it doesn't do that. Most controllers don't do the 1,000 hertz polling when they're wireless or using a dongle. On this controller with the dongle, it's 1,000 hertz polling. Like it's exact numbers to wired, which is fantastic. But on Bluetooth, it's abysmal. And I don't know if there's like a firmware update or something that they need to do, but they gotta get it fixed. I don't play that way, but this controller can be used on Android and iOS. So if you do mobile gaming and you want to use this controller, you're going to be needing to basically do Bluetooth, and it's just not good enough with Bluetooth. It was fairly slow. The polling rate is like below. Let me double check the specs. I think it was around like 150 hertz. It's pretty bad, so they gotta get that fixed. But other than that, and I don't know why they switched the way they do the profiles. Like you can get up to 4 profiles to program into the controller, but with this particular one, there's no indicator on the controller that you're on a particular profile, and they did that really well with the GameSir Cyclone 2. So I don't know why they didn't do it with this one, but I mean, it's more of at this point, it's kind of nitpicking. The controller is fantastic. So long story short, it's great. But I was kind of scatterbrained for there. I didn't explain why polling rate is so important. The higher the polling rate, means that the faster that your PC or your console is receiving updates from the controller of your decisions, your inputs. So it's less delay on that. It makes responses smoother. Your accuracy in competitive games is better. Like if you've never played with anything but like your standard Xbox controller or your standard PlayStation controller, find a controller and it's probably cheaper or the same price as these other controllers. Find a controller that's third party. I would say either GameSir or 8-bit do. And there are a few other ones that can do it too. But if it is marketed as 1,000 hertz polling, look at some reviews and make sure it really does that. Try that controller out and see the massive difference that you see in how it performs. It's like night and day. So I think that is, yeah, I think that's it for me. You ready to get into these topics, man?
Let's do it.
Eric asked, did I mess with the DLCs? I was going to do the General Knox DLC, Eric, and I don't have time now. Like, I really, really love that General Knox DLC, but I can't because, and it's my fault because like I wasn't streaming enough. I wasn't playing the game enough, and I kept playing other stuff, and then I didn't schedule things correctly. So it's all on me. Because I definitely would have streamed the General Knox DLC. It's fantastic, and I didn't. So, sorry, but I'm probably gonna end up skipping all the DLCs for the other Borderlands games as I try to make sure I get through them all before Borderlands 4 comes out. But yeah, man, let's get into these topics.
Oh really? Oh really?
So, game director at Haven Studios, Daniel. I'm about to butcher this. Depoe, I think I said that right, has left the studio to join WB Montreal. And Daniel was the game director for Fair Games, which has been incognito ever since its reveal. And if you recall, we kind of talked about this a few months ago, how Jade Raymond, the studio head, left the studio unceremoniously. Studio developers themselves were now aware ahead of time that Jade was leaving. You can take from that which you will. But this is kind of fueling more of the talk that Sony will eventually announce that Fair Games has been canceled. Forte, what are your thoughts on Daniel finding a new home?
Oh yeah. They already know the games. They already know that, the writing's on the wall, and anybody that is still sticking around hoping that it would be better. I mean, we're never going to wish, people losing their jobs or anything like that, but it really comes back to, what are you working? Like, they didn't announce that they were working on anything else. So like at this point, it's like a slow, quiet death of the public, of the developer. So even if that isn't the case, the fact that they haven't announced anything new for them to do, or even said that they were working on other projects, or they were moved to more of a support studio to help other studios get their games out the door. None of that was like kind of even talked about when they talked about what they were doing with the game with Fair Games. So once Jay Raymond left, once she left and everything, that was like kind of the signal that we was like, okay, this game is pretty much cooked and it's not going to see the light of day. And we're just, and PlayStation pretty much just at that moment didn't want to announce another studio closure, because they had just announced stuff earlier in the year, and it was like, I guess, too close for them to do it. So I just think at a certain point in time, it's just going to happen. We're going to actually talk about other studio situations and stuff, especially when it came with Microsoft. So we already know that companies are willing to let studios operate until a certain point. Then they just say that's kind of it, and then they just move on from whatever they're doing. I just think Sony's waiting for that right time just to move on, because like I said, at this point, it's no reason to kind of announce, or even in the post where they were talking about the cancellation and stuff like that, that they would say that the studio would be moving on to a more of a fulfillment ancillary role where they help other studios get through their games and stuff in more of a capacity like that. So it's all in limbo. And if I think I'm in limbo and I don't think I'm going to have a job in the next 2 to 3 months or even the next month, I'm already putting fillers out there. And even if those job opportunities may not be as fruitful as the one I have, at least I know I have a job in the next month. And that's kind of where these people are at this point, probably.
Yeah, it's Jay Raymond left. And then a few months later, this guy leaves, and
Yep.
it wouldn't surprise me at all if this dude was just like, okay, let me brush up on my LinkedIn profile.
Yep, exactly. Time
As
to
soon as
go.
she left, because it's not going to work out. And even if behind the scenes Sony was like, Herman Hulst is like, hey, look, this isn't going to work. We and looking at some of the ideas that we had and some of the targets that we were trying to do, and seeing how things turned out with Concord, we need to make some changes. So we need to completely change the way the monetization for this game is going. We need to do blah 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 blah. This is going to take some time. And maybe Jade wasn't cool with that. This is all speculation on my part, but maybe Jade wasn't cool with that, and maybe Daniel, this game director, just didn't believe that the studio or this game had any chance. And when you look at it from the outside, it doesn't really create any confidence in the gamer that may have been. I mean, just like we haven't seen a second of gameplay, but all we've seen is this teaser trailer. If you were hyped for that, this doesn't. What is there left to be excited for?
Yep, I agree.
If anything, I feel like the only reason why this one hasn't been canceled, like all the other games that were live service games that Sony canceled, this may have been just how much money they've already sunk into it, and how far in development it was, because this game was already supposed to be out. So
that's
I wouldn't wish for any studio
possibility.
I wouldn't wish for any studio to shut down and people lose their jobs. Hopefully Sony finds a purpose for Haven, that, or maybe they get to make another game. I don't know. It just seems like that seems so far-fetched nowadays that typically you get one shot or your studio's gone.
Straight up, Eminem said it. You got one shot. Don't forget your chance to blow.
Right. So yeah, it is what it is. Well, I guess next time we talk about this, we'll be talking about
a new game
what happened. Yeah.
Right, exactly. What happened? The aftermath.
Yep. And speaking of games that did great, let's talk about Sandfall Interactive. And Sandfall Interactive had they did the Clear Obscure Expedition 33, fantastic game. Everyone loves it, right? And that one is doing well for a studio with their first game. And the good thing here is it seems that they're going to put this game on the Switch.
Yep.
And I think that's probably like, it makes sense that why it wasn't on there initially. It's an Unreal Engine 5 game. It's not, I wouldn't say it's super demanding, but it's not well optimized.
Right.
And a game that's not well optimized, probably, like, it's capable of running on the Switch too, but probably not like in the current, like it probably wouldn't run well in the current state that it's in. So hopefully they do optimize the game. But Forte, what are your thoughts about Expedition 33 hitting the Switch? Are you going to pick it up there?
Probably not, because I already own it on 2 different platforms already, on PC, and I own it on PlayStation 5. So I probably won't buy it on Switch, because buying it on Switch, I already know I'm not going to dedicate the time to beat it on Switch. So it is good that it is looking to go over there. We're going to talk about, probably I saw it in the rundown inside our DMs, about another game, about the differences of why, price point kind of matters on games, and, how they feel like their game is probably being held back when it comes to player base because of the price of a certain system versus like how it's sold on a system like the Switch. But I think it's really, really good that it's going there. I think it will actually do pretty well over there. I don't think it's going to sell like 4 or 5 million copies, but even though it probably could, because, at this point, a lot of people do go to the Switch for like RPG type games, and something like this of being available over there could definitely survive. I mean, not survive, but definitely do well. I will say this though, if this game is what we think it will be when it comes to game of the year and it actually wins it, I think you will probably see outside of PC, you will probably see the biggest surge in Switch sales if they do get it on Switch by the end of this year. And it's available at the time of release for the Game Awards in that time period, which really kind of makes sense when it comes to like this announcements where they're looking to put it over there, because they probably are very, very confident, not in the ability to, they're already confident in the game itself because the numbers speak for itself. But putting it on the Switch, especially right before the holiday season, knowing that the Switch right now is the fastest selling system, brand new system of all time, knowing that it has a second holiday window when it comes to like games that's going to be available and people picking up that system during the holidays, and knowing that the library itself is already, it's not huge. I mean, it's not small, but it's also not like gigantic, like, pause, like some other launches we have for other systems. And that's the one thing Nintendo really didn't do, was saturate the market with a bunch of different games, even though there is a good amount of them. This game will be one of the standout games on the Switch if it does come out, just because of the game it is. And I think it would be in their best interest to get it out this year. And then they'll just get a bigger bump from like the Game Awards, even being nominated in it. If it wins, I think you'll see a huge surge on Switch sales, just to the fact that it's going to be available over there and people are going to want to probably pick it up to like play it in just different environments, like at home or on the go. Because when these awards happen, they just say the game won. It doesn't matter about the console, because you just really see a uptick in console in like the game being sold generally across all platforms. And I think you'll see a huge lift up from that. So I hope it does happen. And I hope they get it out soon to take advantage of that windfall they'll get from it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they could be able to get it out before the game. They
would have been working it already if that's the case.
You're right, but it's like, yeah, like marketing wise, we would have heard that it was already, but I do think that like getting it somewhere, like say like January, February, not too long after the Game Awards, where you're still kind of like in the conversation and people are looking out for it, it could very well like end up being like when it's all said and done, selling the most on the Switch 2.
Right.
Than it did on all the other platforms combined. And this game is a surprise hit, and it sold like over 3 million copies very quickly. Who knows where it's at right now? But like and the Switch 2 doesn't have anywhere near the kind of install base that it does on the Switch 1, but that could be a huge boost to the platform once it does finally go there. And since we're talking about games going to the Switch,
really?
Capcom president Jarujiro, good grief, I apologize in advance. Jarujiro Sugimoto. There we go. Hey, look, I think I got it right. I'm pretty sure someone in the comments later on will tell me, no, SloMo, you did not get it right. But I tried. Anyway, Capcom's president says that the PS5 price point is a quote-unquote large barrier for the sales of Monster Hunter Wilds. He says that he says the price of the console in yen, but he mentioned the price of the console in yen. And he also mentioned how the Switch 2 is much cheaper, and the PS5 price just isn't easily reachable for younger generations. And so this was in an interview that he did very recently. And so it looks like Monster Hunter Wilds will somehow come out on the Switch too. Now, here is another game that is not well optimized. It runs terribly on every platform that's available on. And I saw a lot of pushback to this talk from people that's just like, yo, why are you talking about putting this game on another platform when you haven't really delivered on the quality experience of this game on the platforms it's already out on? And so I guess, Forte, we can have a quick little discussion about greed versus delivering quality, because I'm not saying Monster Hunter Wilds is a bad game. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that if you can have a quality title and content, but not be quality in actual delivering on the technical aspect of things, it's performance. And Expedition 33, I mean, it's a small team. Sandfall Interactive, they've had a lot of updates to kind of get the game to a better state where we can say, all right, well, the game's pretty decent on the platforms that it's on right now. The same can't be said for Monster Hunter Wilds, that everybody killed when it first came out, because they was just like, yo, this is unacceptable. And I think it might be having something to do with the way Red Engine work, where I said Red Engine. Is it what's the name of Capcom? Red Engine is CDPR.
Yeah.
What's the name of the game engine they use for Capcom? I forgot the name of it. Somebody will tell me. It'll come back to me. But that game engine seems to be great with like Resident Evil, with more linear level designs, smaller rooms, and a lot of detail on characters and smaller scale situations. When you have something that's more open world environment or hub world environment, it seems the performance of those games really struggle. And a great example of that is Dragon Dogma 2.
It's the RE
that
engine.
Performance. RE engine. That's why I thought Red, because it's like, you know.
Yeah, I know it's Resident Evil, but because they abbreviate it for just RE.
Yeah. So, Forte, what do you think needs to happen here? Like, do we need like a balancing of some sort? Is it do the gamers need to start holding these developers and publishers accountable for, and how would we do that? You know, in order to kind of make sure that they're not prioritizing the wrong things when it comes to balancing releasing on more platforms for more money, or actually delivering on the promise of a game that actually runs well.
So it's the age-old question. You have the loud minority that will go out and sing to the stars that this isn't acceptable. This isn't what, we don't want this. That's where we fall when it comes to like certain things. Like when Halo was missing, split screen and co-op wasn't going to be a thing at launch, we said it should be delayed. We said it should be delayed because the Forge wasn't going to be available day one. That's something that was inside the game for every Halo game since it came out, when it came out to having those features and stuff. So we were the ones to say, but then you would have the vocal majority, because we're the loud minority. We're super loud. We have megaphones. We are consistently saying these things, but then the vocal majority will come out and they would say, it's fine. We're good with this. I just want to play the game. And guess what? The majority will always rule. And when developers see that they can put out a game and the majority of people, like, they'll hear noise, like they hear it all the time. They say, hey, we want this, we want that. We don't want you to release it in this state. Can you like make sure there's patches, make sure the game is fully featured before you release the game? But then they throw out a game with a day one patch and it doesn't even have all the features included, but people still buy it and eat it up. I guarantee you, if I love Borderlands. If Borderlands comes out broken, and 2 days after it comes out broken, they still are making record sales on that game, all we're doing is telling them that they can release a game in whatever state they want it, and we are going to support it. And that's the problem. Until people are willing to stop spending their money on things that aren't feature complete or things that are busted and broken day one, this is going to continue to keep happening. I said this. I said exactly. I told everybody when Battlefield did their beta, I said, if the beta is good and they don't have issues with servers and stuff like that, or even if it is like not even marginally better, if it is significantly better than what I've been seeing over the course of the last 2 or 3 games, I'm in day one. And guess what? They knocked it out of the park. Yes, they had a little bit more issues and stuff as they rolled it out worldwide and more people got in because it was an open beta, but it was a far cry from what it was at the very beginning. It wasn't egregious as it was before outside of those shotguns, which they are nerfing by. Well, they're nerfing a lot of the stuff inside the game. But what people are willing to do is say, fix it, and I want to play it. I want to experience it day one. They do that for single player games, not single player. They do it for multiplayer games, and you're doing it for single player games. I'm sitting there like, why do you even care about a game like Redfall releasing and not having all of its features and the AI being buggy and not having 60 frames per second when it was promised to you day one? And you're saying like, oh, I'll wait for you to patch it. And then they put out a statement 2 weeks after the game comes out like, oh, we're working on a patch. Be on the lookout for it soon. When did that patch come out, Slow-Mo? Wasn't it like 9 months later?
8 months later, yeah.
And guess what? And the first thing
After
I said when
was
they
already dead.
And guess what? And we both said it as soon as we saw the notes, and they said, "Hey, you Redfall 60 frames per second patch with performance mode, blah 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 blah." And I was sitting there like, it's too late. That game's already dead. Ain't nobody going back. Anybody that did want to play that game and enjoyed it and said that they loved it already did it. They're not going back. As much as they probably said it to their blue in the face, like, I'm going to jump back in there and play it again. Guess what? Guarantee you they never did that because they already experienced the game. And the people that would have probably went back and played all the extra content, the DLCs and stuff like that, didn't do it because the game was a buggy mess out from the get-go, and no people already left and they're never coming back. So that's the biggest problem. People just need to stick to their guns. If you're about performance, if you're about stability in games, if you're about having feature completed games, stand on your square and don't support it until it gives you what you want. But there's way too many people out here that are willing to compromise what they say they want because, and I want to make this abundantly clear, this is what they say they want. But what you say and what you do are two different things. And what publishers hear, they don't hear what you say, they go off what you do. And what you do is buy their products in a buggy mess, and it gives them this red flag that's a green flag that says, "Oh, we're good to go." And that's how and guess what? That's how Cyberpunk got out the gate the way it did. And then the only reason Cyberpunk got fixed as fast as it got fixed is because it was
wasn't even fast. It was 2 years.
Yeah, it was 2 years.
It took 2 years. That's exactly what the devs said it was going to take. They told the leadership it's going to take us 2 years to get this game ready the way it was supposed to be.
And guess what? The only reason, what I was saying, and the only reason the publisher, well, not the publisher because they're all self-published, but the only reason people were willing to give this a chance is because they knew it wasn't on the developer. They knew it was on the upper management side of it. They know CD Projekt Red knows how to make a game. But guess what? Even them, the reason that the sweet C-suite gave this game a chance to get fixed is because they saw record numbers and people returning the game. And it was like, yo, okay, let's take the time to get this fixed. Let's do this. Let's do that. And they got sued. And they got a class action lawsuit. And so gamers stood up on that one. But not too many others people, or it just doesn't happen consistently enough for this to be a thing that's going to change unless people change the way that they look at these games in general.
Yeah, I largely agree, even though I'm always been team.
Eagles are winning, by the way.
Oh, really?
17-21.
Interesting. I'll have to watch that tomorrow when I get the chance. But I kind of look at it like I know how gamers are, and so I'm never saying I'm boycotting the game because I already know that like I'm not going to boycott. If I want the game, I'm gonna buy it, and that's just how I am. So I'm not going to say I'm boycotting anything, but it just becomes frustrating. I'll say it is frustrating when you see the performance of a game just not live up to expectations, and it seems like it's not a priority. A great example of that is EA and Respawn with Jedi Survivor. On PC, it's still not great. It's better than it was at launch, but it's still not great at all. It's still not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. And yet, EA has already moved on. Respawn has already moved on. They're not doing anything to fix the performance of that game, despite how much Digital Foundry called them out for it, despite how many times gamers made an issue about it. Like for my first attempt trying to play that game, I quit because I got stuck with a bug that basically was a game-breaking bug. I needed to get on my ship to go to the next planet, and every time I got near my ship, the game would crash. So I was like, I can't do anything. Right. I literally cannot do anything here. And it was a bug that they just like, it just wasn't a priority to fix it. Meanwhile, instead of fixing that bug, they were talking about putting Jedi Survivor on last gen consoles.
Right.
It is what it is. It's unfortunate, but Forte, I got a question for you, man.
I have an answer. What's up?
Let's say you go to a bar.
Bar it is.
What's the drink you're ordering?
Long Island iced tea.
Is it shaken and not stirred?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question. Mine is always shaken.
I say that with all that set up, because let's talk about this state of play that happened yesterday. Did you watch the state of play?
I did.
It's fairly interesting. I will say this, and this is a state of play specifically for 007 First Light being developed by IO Interactive, and they are the makers of the Hitman games. And I will have to say this: I have had almost zero interest in this game. But I watched that state of play, and even though like the frame rate was all over the place,
it was terrible.
I was like, oh man, they gotta fix that performance. But see, my vision of what they were doing was basically making another Hitman game with a 007 skin. And I'm not a stealth game dude, so I don't care about playing like that. And I know this game will still have a lot of those elements in it, but I don't mind light stealth as long as I get to go shoot, bang, bang eventually. And I saw a lot of shoot, bang, bang, even though it was just like, it looked like the enemy AI was a little stupid. Maybe they were just kind of doing that to kind of like really show off the game. I found it funny because movies do this all the time where it's just like everything explodes. Like the cars are exploding so easily. It's just crazy. It's just like did he shoot the passenger side window and the car exploded? It just is that kind of stuff. But I liked it. I really liked it. And I was like, oh, okay. This wasn't really on my radar, but I may have to check this out. Forte, what were your thoughts about it?
The funny thing, and I'm going to tell you exactly, because the funny thing is today I had 4 people come into the store to pre-order that off the state of play.
Really?
Yeah.
Off
the state of play. People came into the store, and I ain't going to lie. Now, the one thing I will say is, I swear, am I looking at a 007 game, or is this a Mission Impossible game? Because I swear I was looking at Ethan Hunt for a while. I was like, this looks more like Ethan Hunt than it does 007. So if you look at it real closely, I'm like,
Mission Impossible. Yeah.
It looks more like Mission Impossible than 007. But it is what
maybe
it is.
It needs to be, but frankly, because like this might set some people off, but I found all the 007 games to be boring. I mean, not games, movies to be boring. I find them all boring.
Yeah,
I find Mission Impossible to be like not necessarily this generation's, because like those games have been coming out for decades. Those movies have been coming out for decades, but they're more relevant to today's audiences than a 007 movie is. And so IO Interactive making this game more Mission Impossible than actual 007, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. That's more exciting than
it is. Yeah.
Typical old school James Bond.
Yeah. So. And that's probably, and honestly, that's the first thing I noticed. I was like, okay, 007, but it has a Mission Impossible kind of feel to it. And then I just like and like you said, I like how I like the stealth aspect of it. But if you want to go loud, you can go loud and it looks good doing it. So, I always wonder what IO would do if they actually like I'm not going to say take the handcuffs off, because, Hitman games are kind of more, they are the more stealth approach, more scenario based, different outcomes on how you go about different objectives. There's multiple ways to achieve the same objective, and different ways, and then even different ways of having that objective play out. I really, really like that about the Hitman games. But I also like the fact that you can actually, put a little bit more action in there. And I think with a 007 name behind it, and then not being super like, I think the story elements are going to still be something that is going to be really leaned on the most. But I do like the fact that they went more with this action-packed version of the game, especially what we see in the trailer. Because, normally when you look at 007 games, like you go back and look at, what was it called? Bloodstone, which was one that was on the PS3 and Xbox 360. It was cool. I remember watching the trailers like, this looks cool, but it seems like it's going to be boring. And then when you play the game, I was like, yeah, I think I only made through the first 2 missions, and it was kind of it at that point. This one, I'm like,
that's how I've been with Hitman. But at the same time, I like some freedom in these kind of games. Like for example, Dishonored. Like you could go loud if you want to. It's really kind of up to you how you want to accomplish your objective. But if you look at the gameplay they showed at the State of Play, I can't see how I can't see how you can do anything but do it any other way but the way they wanted you to do it. For example, and I'll put it up on the Jumbotron where you get to the part, because he's like, Bond is trying to get into the party and he doesn't have like access. So he has to create a scenario which causes a distraction that allows him in. But the way it was set up seems to be like, this is the only way to get in.
Bro. Like
you can't.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. No, I was laughing at something I was thinking about, but go ahead.
It's like he distracted a guard, then he knocked out another guard just to get a lighter to set some leaves on fire to distract the guy from, to allow him to jump over a railing and to get through a window in a way that just had me looking like, with all the people that's at that party, how in the world no one else knows this man scaling this pipe and hanging off the side of the building right above security? But okay, whatever, right? But it just seems like in order to get in, you have to do things you have to figure out the way they've designed it for you to get in. And so even though I like the action elements later in the gameplay reveal, those are like, well, now it's time to shoot. So go crazy, shoot a bunch of people up, have fun.
Right.
But here you can't do that. You can't do that yet. There is no like even though more than likely you can go end up dead if you tried it. But I would like to just like attempt to just go in, but and shoot the place up, shoot up security. But that's like, I get why that's not the case. That's not James Bond's way, right?
Right.
He gonna shoot
Bond.
people,
right?
But he ain't gonna shoot people in that scenario. He's not bloodthirsty, you know. And then there's the story elements that they're setting up, which I think part of the reason why I like this more than what a Hitman game is that the Hitman ain't got no daggone personality.
No, I'm with
whereas
you.
James Bond does. So it's just there's a lot to it that I think kind of really like perked up my interest. But I feel if they can fix the performance and some of the jank with the animations, although I thought the animations were dope, like the different things you can do in combat and how you can dispatch people, sliding over cars and kicking them and knocking people off of higher platforms and stuff like that. I thought all that was dope and how dynamic it was and your options there. But I thought some of the animations were a little stiff in how like the transition from fighting into doing a animation, like, and those things can get worked out easily. Like it just takes some time to add some additional polish to it. But I thought it was all right. You know, it's definitely a game that at the time when they first revealed it, I was just like, oh, it's all right.
Right.
Cool. Not for me, but you know, happy for everyone who's excited for this. And then now I'm like, oh, okay, I think I might have to check this out. So yeah, anything else you want to say on this one before we get into
I will say what I was laughing about is the one thing that threw me off, because it's like the more and more I like watch video games, the more and more like I get to like I pay attention to like the little nuances, the realistic things that happen. And that like I ain't gonna lie, this is like the most Mission Impossible thing ever, when he is riding when the plane is taking off and he's riding the staircase at the staircase chair thing, and they shoot it. He jumps on the what's the name, pulls himself up, and the guys are running out of the top of the thing. And when he's fighting them and he blocks one and then he throws the guy, it's like the animation was so funny because he got him and pushed him. And it was like, it's like when he pushed them, it was like the game had to register that there was wind up there. And then all of a sudden he went flying. It was like he threw him, but it was like a stutter, and then it just went flying. And then it was so when you watch it, it's like you just see it's like the game it's like, dude, you're on a plane. It's like your momentum should have just went flying. All of a sudden, it's like it was like a slow motion, and then all of a sudden the wind took them, and then. And then they're shooting on top of like it's like the disbelief that you got to suspend disbelief just like you do in movies and stuff. It's like, and then when the dude is shooting him from the top of the airplane, point blank range, missing, and then he slides and kicks the dude, and then he drops down into the ship where there's like people that's not even 20 feet away.
Forte. See, he's an MI6 agent, and so in his dress shoes, he's got magnetic like soles, and so they keep him grounded to the plane because they knew he would be in a situation like this, and so they took care of him. You know how this is.
What about the bullets that my man was shooting at him, and then all of a sudden
wait, hold on. So
the bullets he was shooting. Go ahead.
I got an explanation for that. His cufflinks have a technology where he can bend bullets around him. So the bullets, even though they're like literally like right on top of him, they can't hit him with the bullets. By the way, the whole tilting the plane part was dope. I really thought that was cool.
Dope.
How he used that to get rid of enemies that were shooting at him. I was like, all right, that's a great idea. I haven't seen that before.
I did like that.
I'm joking. Like, they definitely was wilding with some of that stuff, which is like, again, like why is this airstrip got so many, like, how much fuel do you
How
need
much
to be just
fuel?
out and about? It's just
No.
like,
No.
you can, and
He
we
did
play
kick
so
the
many
dude
video
out the
games. You
window.
can just tell. All right, just go ahead and shoot this barrel. Everything's gonna blow up.
It's crazy.
I don't need to kill all these people.
Yeah,
but look, it looks like good fun though. So like, even though we're kind of nitpicking it is what it is.
I love the fact that when you drop into the hangar after this dude was literally like I said, shooting at you point blank, like they can't hear that bullets are flying 10 feet away from them. He jumps in, he drops down into the chute, and everybody's acting like everything's normal. like part of me feels like when you drop down in that chute, you should be like, okay, I already know I'm about to have a bunch of resistance. We're gonna have a firefight as soon as I jump into the ship. But everybody is like, I don't even know what's going on.
This is where it gets super Mission Impossible, because he jumps out the plane and he's like, oh, I need a parachute. How come? That's some Ethan Hunt's. I am skydiving with no parachute, and I'll get one. Don't worry about it. I just know I'm gonna run into a goon with a parachute that I could just steal his parachute from. Like,
so that's why I said it's more Mission Impossible than. But I love it because it did. I ain't gonna lie. And guess what? 4 people liked it too because they came into the store and pre-ordered it today, and I guess that's what this whole thing was for.
It's like, and the chat's getting on me like, hey, have you seen a 007 movie, Slow-Mo? Of course, this is how I know that.
007 movies ain't this outlandish.
Yeah, and
even Skyfall was.
I get it. I'm just saying that it's a little comical, but I'm not saying it doesn't fit the IP or the tone of the game or those movies. I'm just saying I just thought it was funny. That's all. It was just funny. Anyway, you're ready to get into the topics, man.
He said, let's be real, James Bond would be dead if this was his movie 100 times over. No, and that's the thing. It's just that we're in the year 2025 and we look at all of this stuff. Even like perfect example, when I went to go see Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, there were so many things that happened in that movie that I was like, this is crazy. But this is the difference though. He does those stunts for real. so when we see something in Mission,
because Tom Cruise is crazy. He's crazy.
So when you see a mission, the thing is, the reason people really suspend disbelief in Mission Impossible is because the stuff that you see in it is real. He does it for real. And it might be the most crazy, like hanging from the fact that they had that shot of that dude standing on top of that airplane. We've seen Ethan Hunt hanging off the side of a freaking Boeing, of a military grade ship,
hanging off the side of mountains with like 100-foot fall with no harness. And it's just like, are you
crazy? Trying to die.
Do you really want your obituary to say died doing a movie stunt? Because like that seems like I don't get it. Couldn't be me. Anyway.
The last thing before we know, I remember watching for it was Mission Impossible Fallout. They were doing the scene when he was like climbing. It was the helicopter scene. He was climbing the rope, and they were like transporting the package underneath, and he had failed off the rope. And the director said, "Oh my God, we just lost Ethan." Or we just lost Tom. You hear it over the radio because he failed. He literally, it wasn't supposed to fall. He fell. He did have the harness on, but you couldn't see him in the shot no more. So they thought the harness broke. And then all of a sudden, he's holding on to the bottom. He's still on the harness. He's holding on to the bottom of the chute, the thing that they were carrying, and pulled himself back up. And they left that in the movie the way it happened because it wasn't supposed to happen that way, but it looked so real that they thought they just killed freaking Tom Cruise in the movie. That's how crazy that dude is.
I wonder if I think they said the last one. I think I'm like 3 or 4 movies behind. I gotta get caught up. But like, I think they said the last one's gonna be the last one. I wonder if it's the last one because he can't get no more directors to do these. He's just like, look, you gonna kill yourself, and I'm not trying to be held liable.
What? The thing is, what insurance policy is gonna cover it now?
Yeah.
Who's gonna cover this dude for all? Listen, I love it and all. I love Tom Cruise. Final Reckoning was one of the best Mission Impossible movies I've ever seen in my life. Everybody should go see it, especially now that it's coming. It's on DVD and stuff. You can stream it at home. It's great, but this game, it looks very exciting, and it wasn't. And I'll put it like this: when they announced this state of play, I was like, "Oh, 007." It wasn't even on my. It wasn't even on my radar. I didn't even look at it live. But when people were coming to the store, the first person came into the store and said, "I want to pre-order that new Mission Impossible." Then one of my associates, she works at
007.
Exactly. The fact that I call it Mission Impossible. One of my associates that works at another job, she got off her other job and came into the store. I said, "What's going on?" And she's like, "Man, I watched that state of play for the 007. I had to pre-order it." And I was like, "Really? It wasn't that good?" She's like, "Bro, it had me super excited." And then right then and there, while I was at work the rest of the day, I watched it today at work, and I was like, "Yo, this looks pretty cool." So shout out to them.
Last thing I want to say on this, so before we get into our main topics, it wouldn't surprise me at all. As a matter of fact, here's an idea I would love to see: a Mission Impossible game with the same kind of visual fidelity that we see in this game, but like you get to plan your own op. Like you get to you have Ethan Hunt. You get to pick your specialist. You pick your hacker. Pick your girl that will go in and do the social engineering to kind of get access, which you shouldn't. That kind of thing. You get to pick your team for each mission, and you get a group of people that you can work with, and that kind of determines the amount of freedom of ways to handle it based upon the skills of the team that you picked, and it remains dynamic that way. If you go in with a bunch of people that's just straight killers, then you don't have access for some of the like technology things that, like when Ving Rhames is like shutting down security right at the right moment for Ethan to allow him to get access to certain things. Instead, you gotta fight your way through. It all depends on who you bring with you. And I think, I will freely give this idea to any developer or publisher that may be listening to say, if you do this, you will sell a lot. Like, it would do great.
You will.
But you probably going to need to get Tom Cruise on board and Mission Impossible and all that good stuff. And I don't know who. Is it Paramount that owns the IP?
No, I think it's Universal. Universal owns it, yeah.
Yeah, so you probably got to get them on board. But
Paramount owns 007, I believe.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense. All right, so let's discuss.
Let's do it.
Some interesting information that came up today, and this information is coming from Dia Labs, the French gaming media source that has a very accurate history of providing information that has yet to be announced. And the report from Dia Labs outlines a new console revision for the PlayStation 5 Digital. It's called CFI 2100, which it will still retail for what the current price of the PS5 Digital is, which is 499 euros. But this new version will have one change, and it will be a reduction of the console storage capacity from 1 terabyte down to 825 gigabytes for the exact same price that it is currently right now, which, when you take into account that the operating system of the PlayStation 5 also takes up storage, you're potentially looking at roughly like 650 gigs of actual storage for you to work with to install games. Now, my question to you, Forte, is what would you rather have? Would you rather spend more money on the console or have actual less of a product? for the same price that, like, because this is what we're getting here. It's either
I know
you
what
raise
you
the
mean.
price,
Yeah,
or you, instead of raising the price, you give people a lesser product to a degree to offset the price increase, I guess. I don't know.
No,
what would you rather prefer, though?
I rather the price be the price be raised, because paying more for something less of what I have that was out before is asinine. Like, the only reason they were able to get away with the digital system raising in price last time when they did the Slim is because they raised the terabyte. They raised it from 800 gigs to a terabyte. So you were getting a full 200 extra gigs. Now, they didn't do that across the board because they didn't raise the price of the base, the physical system with the drive. They only did it with the digital. They raised it by $50. So everybody pretty much just gave him a pass on that due to the fact that it was a bigger drive. So, and that was fine. People say, hey, I'll pay $50 more to get more space. And that's fine. But when it comes to like taking things away and either charging people the same price, and then in this case, the prices are actually going up. Like today, one of my associates texted me a picture of our price change, because we got our price changes at the end of the night. The price of the PS5 went up today at GameStop. Like it officially went up in price for the new ones. So now those prices that PlayStation announced.
And for those, if I wasn't clear on this, this is only happening in Europe as of now. So in the United States, you're not getting, you're not having a PS5 digital, at Best Buy that has less storage than the current ones that are out there right now. This is at least not
yet.
As of now. Like, it could change, certainly, but this is only happening in Europe. So the European market is dealing with this.
They
just want to clarify. Go ahead, bro.
They just get screwed all the time when it comes to stuff like this. It's kind of crazy, but just anywhere, that's just crazy to know that you're paying more and getting less when it comes to, or even paying the same amount you were paying before, and you're getting less of a product that you were getting for everybody else that bought the system like 2 days before you. That's kind of crazy. And like I said, in America, the price, they announced the price hike of the PlayStation 5 all the way up to the Pro. And we were just saying, when is retailers going to run out of the stock that they have here in America? And it looks like that's happening, soon, because the price of the PS5s at least in GameStop has went up. It goes up, like when you go to the GameStop tomorrow, the prices will be the prices that they announce. So you're actually paying. So that's kind of, if you think about it, it is, I think it's mostly due to tariffs and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely due to tariffs. So it's not something that we can really blame on PlayStation. They could eat the cost, but I don't expect corporations to, eat the cost when they could just easily pass that on to the consumers or to the end user, which are the people that's buying the system at the end. But it still doesn't feel good, because like literally today, if you bought a PS5, at some retailers, you paid one price and now you're paying a different price based on circumstances and stuff like that. And then in Europe, they're literally giving you a lesser product than people bought not even 3 days before that. So
here's another way to look at it as well.
Yeah.
Let's say you're in the market, or your kids come to you and they're like, hey, Daddy, I want a PS5. You're like, all right, bet. I ain't really trying to deal with disc. My kids are destructive, and they're not at this point in time, not really good with taking care of things. So let me go get them a digital. And you look up online and realize, it says it's got 1 terabyte of storage in it. But then you go to the store, you buy a digital, and sure, this would be some like a parent or a casual gamer. But when you have at multiple times changed the amount of storage that you have in your system, that becomes problematic. Because then at some point, you're going to get people who are thinking they're buying a 1 terabyte storage device, and maybe on the box it'll say what the actual storage is. It's 825. Sorry, it's not one terabyte. It's 825 gigs. But
is that what it is?
Yeah, it's 100. It's 825
so
gigabytes.
They're basically going back to the original gigabits that was on the PS5 when it released. That's wild.
So it could be it's going to be a case where there are going to be people that are going to be, you're going to have people that are going to be confused or thinking, oh, well, I thought it had 1 terabyte, but you don't have that version. Or what if they're looking for that version and they can't find it because the only ones that are available is the 825 gigabyte version. It's just,
or how many people are going to go to a store that don't even pay attention to this, and they did their due diligence by saying that it is going to be less, but how many people are going to go out that don't know that and just buy the system and then say, dang, I'm out of space already. And then they're not going to even know that some people that have PS5s have 1 terabytes. And then they're going to be like, I'm out of space already. And then they're going to sell memory to people based on that. So it's just kind of crazy because everybody doesn't really pay attention to things like this. There's going to be people that's going to walk into a store the day after this happens in Europe, and they're just going to buy a PS5. And kudos to them. I'm glad that they are oblivious to it, because you shouldn't have to go look up a news article based on a PS5 and see what comes with it, because all PS5 should just be a PS5 at that point. You should just be buying a PS5 because it is either digital, a PS5 because you want a disc drive, or you should buy it because you want the Pro, which is the more capable system. Those are the only 3 things you should be worried about. You shouldn't be worried about how much freaking space comes in the system.
And this is where I am, where I would much rather, and this, I'm not in the market for one. I already have one. I'm not in the market of another one. But if I was in the market, I would much rather just deal with a higher price than have a lesser product than someone else.
I agree.
For the same price that they paid.
I agree.
Because what can change? Because I can just decide to, I don't know, sell it later, or just choose not to get one until later, until I can maybe I'll decide to get a little bit more money, and then I'll go get the device after the tariff price kicks in. But if you're reducing the storage on me, you're now, in order to make up for that, maybe I didn't want to go buy a external SSD, and not external, but buy a NVMe SSD and install it. But now I'm going to have to likely end up doing that, because I roughly, with the OS, put it into play. I'm looking at anywhere between 650 to like 675 gigs of storage to work with, and as we all know, that's nothing. I mean, it's just not a lot. Like, if you play enough big games where the storage is easily like over 100 gigs, it's not going to take long for you to fill up that space. So, it's unfortunate. I don't think this was a good idea. I made a tweet on Twitter about this, and some people got a little riled up because I made a joke saying, hey, let's just cut it in half and make it the same price instead of raising the price. And I used the meme from Office Space where the guy goes, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. And it's just,
idea I've ever heard, right?
People get upset because they love to, like, it's funny because none of them wanted to apparently had an issue with less value to the customer, but they had an issue with me over exaggerating how much storage they were taking away. It's just, fanboys are going to fanboy is what it is, but do better, Sony. Come on now. Next up, let's talk about this one's going to be interesting. So Crystal Dynamics was and Embracer were close to getting a new publisher to come on and continue on development of Perfect Dark. And that publisher would have been Take-Two, which, considering Take-Two's track record, I think they probably would have did a fantastic job publishing it. But this didn't turn out to happen that way. And this is coming from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier. But he writes that Embracer had come close to striking a deal with Take-Two, who would have purchased the rights of the game from Microsoft, and they would have funded and published the game themselves. Those talks collapsed, though, because both companies, and that's Take-Two and Microsoft, could not come to terms with the ownership of the IP. Take-Two, if they were going to do this, if they were going to fund the rest of the development of the game, publish it themselves, and all that jazz, they wanted to own the Perfect Dark IP, intellectual property, the franchise.
Oh wow.
And Microsoft was like, nah, we ain't doing that. So we want to hold on to this IP that we ain't never going to use again. And so Forte, what are your thoughts about this? Because I got some thoughts. I got some, especially considering, think about what we talked about last week with EA.
Yeah.
Where EA, its whole stance is, we ain't selling no IP or studios, because if you take it and make it good, it's gonna make us look bad. So we ain't gonna do it.
I'm with you. Dang. So I didn't know about the part where they wanted to own the. I mean, I knew that there was like talks around it, but they want the whole IP. I thought they just wanted like everything for this one. But they want the whole kit and caboodle. So part of me feels like they have every right to ask for that, because you just canceled. I mean, at this point, what does Perfect Dark really mean to Xbox? Because you didn't even give it. Yeah. I would have just said, like, they can finish it under Take-Two, but I would have finished the funding and then said I would have gave Take-Two a cut of the revenue for them finishing it. But it looks like, I would just, at this point, Take-Two is right. I would want the rights to that. It's kind of crazy saying that out loud, knowing that Perfect Dark is nowhere near it's not a failed franchise. It's like Perfect Dark, even the last one that they released on Xbox One was fun. A lot of people played it. It was really good. I think it was very rudimentary based on the time and stuff like that. A lot of people were playing like online games mostly during that. I think that Perfect Dark had multiplayer too. So I think it could have been a lot better, but a lot of people didn't hate it. And then people are really, really looking forward to this game. So I was still miffed that they canceled it. I thought that I could understand the closure of the initiative, because you brought a whole studio in to work on the game, basically. So that kind of let us know, even before, they canceled, they closed, they shut down the initiative, that they didn't believe in the initiative in general. So they were going to do something anyways. But when they canceled the game, I was like shocked. I was like, dang. And you showed us, a trailer, even though that trailer was just kind of put together. And we seen that happen before from even bigger franchises like Halo, when it came to like what Bungie did with Halo 3 and everything, or Halo 2, I should say. But should Microsoft have given it up? I think if they truly aren't going to do anything with it, then absolutely. But part of me feels like they're not done with the franchise. I just think that they still have plans for it. It just wasn't a good fit with the studio that they did it with. And then since they don't own Crystal Dynamics, it's kind of hard. You can't hold them hostage forever. I mean, they are owned by somebody else. So I think if the purchase of Crystal Dynamics would have went through, or they would have had owned them, I think we would have probably seen them finish this game out. But I think that's part of the reason why the game mostly got canceled, is because they don't own the developer that was basically working on the game. So with that being the backdrop, I can understand why Microsoft doesn't want to get rid of it, but Take-Two has every right. If they're going to finish the development of it, they have every right to like kind of go with the belief that you canceled it. You don't want anything to do with the IP anymore when it comes to like this game. So, shoot your shot and try to take the whole thing from them. So I can kind of get that side of it. But I think Microsoft's just not done with it yet, because they would have finished the game if they owned the developer that was making it.
Yeah, my whole thing, and I said this last week, and I'm gonna say it again. I said it about EA. So if a particular someone wants to come in here and say, "Here goes SloMo about to rant about Xbox again," please go back to last week where I was ranting about a different publisher doing the exact same thing. Why are you hoarding IP that you have no intention of ever using again?
Yeah.
The last Perfect Dark game came out 15 years ago. 15. My son is 15. The last game came out when he was a baby. And he's in high school now. You don't care about this IP. You're not going to use it again. So why not make some money off of it?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe retain a little bit of ownership, because you did pay for some of the development, some of that development of it. Sell it off to Take-Two if they want to actually do something with it, and let it rock.
True.
The only reason you would not do that is like EA executives. You're afraid about your own legacy. It's about you.
Yeah.
Oh no. But what if it's good?
It's good.
Take-Two makes a lot of good games.
They do.
If it's good and it's successful, everyone's going to look at us and say, "Why couldn't you do that?"
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
right.
Satya Nadella looks at me and says, "Why couldn't you do that?" What if it turns into a successful billion-dollar franchise under Take-Two? And every time it's brought up, everyone just brings up the fact that Microsoft had it and mothballed it for 15 years and did nothing with it until Take-Two had it. It's all pride and ego, man. Like there's zero explanation or logic that someone can tell me on why Microsoft would not just sell the IP.
True.
You're sitting on a treasure trove of IPs at this point that you do nothing with. And if I had a company and I rolled up to Microsoft and I said, "Hey, look, you own the Prototype franchise through ABK. I would like to make a game based off the Prototype IP. We want to do a Prototype 3. Sure, the game has to come out in 2 decades, but hey, you're not doing nothing with it."
Right.
What's wrong with just selling it to me?
True.
Sure. This is what we value that intellectual property for. Can you afford that? And if I can, I can. If I can, I can't. But why are you hoarding it? Because you're not going to do anything with Prototype. The same way you're not going to do anything with Perfect Dark. The same way you're not doing anything with the multitude of IPs or the publishing rights that you have on games of IPs you don't own. Mm-hmm. And you're just sitting on it because you're too afraid that people will look at you and say, "Oh, well, that was successful with other people. Are you incompetent? Is that why you couldn't do something with it?" I'm just tired of seeing this, man. It's annoying to me. But let's get into this last one, and some good news finally, I would say. There is a rumor coming from Insider Gaming that the next State of Play will be happening at the end of September. And the sources that have told Insider Gaming this, and Insider Gaming has been pretty good with like information on PlayStation. Most people aren't very good with PlayStation sources. Most people don't have any.
Right.
But Insider Gaming, Tom Henderson in particular of Insider Gaming, was the one that first leaked the PS Portal. He was the one that first leaked that they were doing a revision to the PlayStation 5. He was the one that leaked that it would be the disc drive would be detachable. And he has a lot of accurate information on things that, you know, going on with PlayStation. And so if this is coming from him, more than likely it's true. But he said that the sources claim that Wolverine will, a new trailer with gameplay, I assume gameplay, will be shown of Wolverine at this state of play at the end of September. And the sources know it would be there because they know production of the game's next trailer has recently been completed. But they did kind of have a caveat here that if it's not at the next state of play, but it will definitely be shown at the Video Game Awards in December. So, Forte, my question to you is, it's been a while since we saw the teaser trailer to this game. And it's actually been a little bit while, you know, a couple of years since the hack occurred at Insomniac, and a lot of the really unfinished rough gameplay was revealed. Do you think that what we'll see when next time we see Wolverine officially was going to look vastly different than what we saw from that hack?
Vastly different? No. I think you will actually see better. You'll see full texture quality. I think the game that we saw is the game we're going to get, man. I don't think they're changing too much of any of that stuff. I think a lot of people are going to probably, as much, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think people are going to have a lot of instances where they feel like this is a Spider-Man game with Wolverine as the catalyst.
Yeah, there was a lot of elements from that leaked footage with Wolverine like jumping from rooftop to rooftop and balancing himself on like power lines and stuff. I was just like, bro,
what are we doing?
That's not Wolverine. That's not Wolverine. That's not Wolverine. Like they gotta cut that stuff out. And so my hope at least,
go ahead,
is that they saw the feedback. They were like, man, it's terrible that this got leaked, but
I'm glad it
some
did.
Good feedback off it.
I'm glad
Cut
it did.
That stuff all the way out. Like I don't need, when I think about Wolverine, you know, I think about that Wolverine game that was based off of Wolverine Origins, which is a horrible movie, but a really good game. I always said, and if you go back to the archives of DPS, and even on Scumcast, when we were still doing Scumcast, I always said that, like, in order for Insomniac to do Wolverine correctly, it needs to do two things. It needs to be very, very brutal and bloody, which they did have that in the hack, that footage that was leaked. You did see that it was pretty bloody, so that's good. But it also, it can't feel like Spider-Man. It can't play like Spider-Man. Wolverine's a different kind of fighter. Like the tone, the visceral nature of how he fights people, and it's not even fights people, slaughters people. Like, it should feel like that. And Spider-Man is completely different. You know, it has a completely different vibe, and they nailed that. But in order to nail Wolverine, I don't need to see a hub world or open world like in Wolverine's in Singapore and he can just travel all over the town and stuff. No, I don't. It needs to be very narrow, linear, almost corridor based in a way where there's an objective and there's an overwhelming amount of enemies to get through. And damn it, he got a mutant healing factor. Let him use it. He shouldn't be doing stealth stuff on the rooftop. Cut that crap out. He should be rushing ninjas, mercenaries, and whoever the heck else wants to get ripped in half and doing exactly that, ripping them in half. I want it to be blood everywhere. and it should be not PG-13, whatever the heck the rating is in video games for kids to play. It shouldn't be, because he's Wolverine.
Right.
So
I agree with
I
that.
hope that they got that kind of feedback from that and change the tone completely, because that would make it really, really exciting to me. Regardless, I'm glad to be able to see it again soon, but I just hopefully what we saw wasn't like indicative of how it's going to be. And I'm not, and for those who may be confused, I'm not talking about like the visual fidelity of it, because I understand how game development is. All that stuff doesn't really get worked on until later in the development of the game. They're not trying to put in ray tracing. They ain't trying to put in like all the great textures and that great visual fidelity. They just do the basics to make sure that all the developers understand how the game's supposed to look, and while they're working on the game, they're doing stuff like what's more important than having path tracing in the game is making sure the rigging is done correctly. So it's the basic stuff, and so I'm not complaining about any of that stuff, because that's what I expected for a game that's nowhere close to being finished. What I'm not expecting is seeing Wolverine moving around like Spider-Man. I don't want to see that no more. But yeah. Anything else you want to say on this one before we?
No, man. That's it, man.
I did say this would be a short one, and we are pulling in to the station on this. I mean, I guess real quick, we can talk about how and now we into the outro area, but we can talk about how you still ain't done this Death Stranding stream, sir. So what's good, bro?
I know. We'll do it.
What's good with you?
I know you want to use your thumbnail, so yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
I that's all this is about, is the thumbnail. That's all it's about.
Basically,
right.
yeah.
I'm trying to think. What am I?
To nail down a day.
It's got to be Wednesday or Thursday. Well, it probably just had to be Wednesday. Oh, let me see. Wednesday. She got practice on Wednesday, so all right, let's do Wednesday night.
Wednesday night.
Thursday night will be out of the quick because we got DPS, but Wednesday night.
Okay, so
Wednesday night.
I'm going to set it up.
Yep, you're going to set it up. Yep.
With the thumbnail and everything. Come through for more Death Stranding with Gaming Forte. It's going to be a great time. And what time of day you want to do it?
She gets out of practice at 6. Let's do 8.
8 o'clock. Sounds like a plan. So look out for that next Wednesday. Look out for me playing Borderlands pre-sequel this weekend. So probably tomorrow night if I can, as long as everything work goes the way it should. I should be available to do that. And yeah, man, we'll get up out of here. Anything else you want to say, Forte, before we get out of here?
No, man. Everybody have a great weekend. See you guys on IOP later on Sunday, and make sure you guys play you some Silk Song, and hopefully you enjoy it. Shout out to Team Cherry, the $20, bro. The fact that people were literally putting up like putting up memes saying we want to pay you more is amazing. They said, retweet this if you want Team Cherry to charge $10 more. That's crazy.
That's some weird, and that's not great. That's some weirdo energy.
It is some weirdo energy. Who wants to pay more money?
Do this, like set up a donation thing. Hey, look, we think you deserve more money. So if you feel like Team Cherry deserves more money for this game, you go to this webpage or whatever, go do it with GoFundMe or something.
Don't make me pay more money.
Yeah, you pay more money. don't make me pay more money for like I don't agree with you. All this we think you should charge us more. I think you should shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth.
Right. Like the same way these Giants fans need to shut their mouth. I don't know where these uppity Giants fans come from thinking they just gonna beat the Washington Commanders after we swept y'all last year. Like, what are y'all thinking? And yes, I'm talking about you in the chat, Floodzilla. But I actually didn't play Hollow Knight, so I own that and I still have it installed, and I'll get to it. I feel more motivated to get to it because I hear so many good things about Silksong, and it's reviewing well, a lot of great feedback. So I'm eventually play Hollow. I know I don't need to play Hollow Knight to play Silksong. The dev said so, but I kind of feel compelled to do so considering I own the game. And I feel like even though they said you should be able to follow everything without playing the first game, I don't like not having like all that additional context that comes with the foreknowledge of what has happened already. So I'm gonna play Hollow Knight before I play Silksong, and it's fine because it's in Game Pass. I can just Silksong, that is. So I can just jump on that after I beat the game that I already own. But we'll get out of here. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. And yeah, we can because it's near the end of the week. And we'll see you guys next Thursday. Oh, actually Wednesday at 8 p.m. for Death Stranding stream with Forte. But we out, man. Peace.
Peace.